Hello, I'm James Mallory. I'm the chairman of the Iredell County Board of Commissioners. And on behalf of the entire Board of Commissioners, we appreciate this opportunity to give you an update on our COVID-19 efforts and how they nest within our federal, state, regional, and local municipality efforts to work together to achieve the desired effects of limiting the spread and slowing the spread of this virus. The strategy for dealing with this situation is local execution, state managed, and federally supported. So, as the local county entity, we are at the tip of the spear in terms of dealing with this at the local level. You need to be aware that our efforts are in conjunction with our municipalities of Mooresville, Troutman, Statesville, Harmony, and Love Valley, and that we coordinate those actions and understand that we are a long county and that the conditions that may be prevalent in Mooresville will be different from those in Harmony. So local execution does in fact mean local execution given the appropriate circumstances as we are informed through our medical and scientific advice. Today you're going to hear some separate presentations from critical departments engaged on the front lines of dealing with COVID-19. We're going to take these presentations and segment them, break them apart on our website and our Facebook page, and we would encourage you to share liberally that information, because this is not information that's, secondhand, apocryphal, Googled information. It is applicable to Iredell County. I know everyone gets bombarded with national news, regional news that is focused on different levels or different circumstances. So we want you to be aware of how we are dealing with the situation as it presents itself in Iredell County. In subsequent weeks, we will update this process to keep you abreast of the evolving threat and the evolving strategy of dealing with the threat of COVID-19. I will be followed in a few minutes by our county manager, Beth Jones, who's going to probably wrap things up. Jane Henson, the director of our public health department. Blair Ritchie, our emergency medical services director. And Jody Smyer, our emergency management coordinator. But first, before we get into that, I would like to salute the heroic efforts of our frontline defenders, our EMS, our emergency communicators, first responders, be they firemen, rescue, law enforcement, sheriff's department, through all of the municipal departments. And they are on the front lines of meeting the needs of citizens. We need to make sure that we don't overwhelm their capacity to respond to citizens. So as you hear from those responsible directors, they will share with you some of the things that can make them be able to execute their mission effectively and efficiently without running out of resources. And that all depends really on how you know how to react to your personal circumstances. I also want to pay tribute to our healthcare professionals in our public health department, our hospitals, our private physicians' practices, our physician groups, all of whom have been working closely with our public health department in devising a strategy to deal with the needs, particularly of the vulnerable populations of our county, the elderly, those who have compromised immune systems, who have pre-existing conditions that would make them susceptible to needing hospitalization or intensive care. So those plans are in place, and I'm sure that Jane Henson will share some perspective on those. This is a team effort. In addition to our county and municipal workforce that's delivering across the board essential services that you need day to day regardless of what the conditions are, there are many other groups of which most of you interact with or are part of. So we're not alone. We have school systems that have done a wonderful job of preparing distance learning and online learning packets, and for those that do not have computers, physical packets so that they can continue to make progress regardless of grade level until May 15th, when the schools at this point would be allowed to reopen. But by then, it's basically close to graduation. So what they do in the interim, parents, be on top of your children's assignments and encourage them to use maximum use of their computers if they've been given them. We're one of the few counties that is fortunate enough to have had the foresight to invest heavily in our computer technology and getting that out to our middle school and high schoolers almost on a one-to-one basis. Our faith communities play a huge role in ensuring that social distancing does not mean social disengagement. We have the ability today with Facebook or your iPhones to be connected. And in particular, folks that have been shut in, our elderly or those that are particularly vulnerable, need to be contacted and reassured they're in the fight as well as everyone else. And so our faith communities play a huge role in connecting us and keeping us focused on what is our ultimate ability to be stress-free, which is having a faith that's beyond ourselves. My personal faith in my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, it lowers my stress level immeasurably. And I would hope that all of you can use this time to refocus and find that inner strength and inner peace. We have volunteer organizations that help feed people. We have blood banks that need your assistance. This is not a time not to give blood. So please participate in those blood drives. They will be done in a safe way, and we need those blood supplies. Our grocery and hardware store workers, they're out there on the front lines seeing you every day. And while we're talking about groceries, this is not a time to stock up and clear the shelves. There is more than enough food in the supply chain to make sure everyone gets their normal amount of food necessary to operate for a week or ever how long you normally purchase your groceries. I would recommend that before you go to the grocery store, make out a grocery list of what you need. Go to the grocery store and only buy that stuff. It is human nature that if you walk by a shelf and there's only one can of Spam left, you would never buy Spam, perhaps, but if it's the only can sitting there, you might grab it because it just might be the only one that you can ever get. And it may sit on your shelf for the next 30 years. So just buy what you need. This toilet paper, run on toilet paper, started with a rumor that all that toilet paper was produced in Wuhan, China. That doesn't make any sense to be shipping a bulky, low-cost product across half the world. All of our toilet paper is produced locally, nationally, and it's a steady demand product. It's produced 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Georgia Pacific, about half toilet paper comes from wood that's been grown and pulped, and the other half comes from recycled paper. So the production facilities exist. They've been producing out what we've used for the last, 20 years based on demands of the population. But if everybody suddenly thinks that there's a shortage of toilet paper and have grabbed it, it's created a shortage for people that come and shop behind you. Now that means that they still can't produce any more than they're producing. Eventually, it's all back on the shelves, but a lot of people aren't going to need to buy any for 3 months. So please just buy what you need. Do not artificially create shortages of products. We have a lot of essential businesses out there. There's plumbing and heating and air conditioning and heating contractors, electrical contractors. There's services that we're going to need to continue to have provided to us in our homes and our businesses. And many of our businesses, most of our businesses, in fact, are essential to the overall economy and our local economy. And our businesses will be implementing, if they're going to be consistent with our guidance, they will be implementing those social distancing policies in the workforce, in the workplace. They will be maintaining appropriate level of separation, plenty of opportunities to decontaminate or clean any surfaces that could be contaminated, as well as opportunities for hand washing. And reviewing their workforce, and as soon as anyone exhibits any kinds of symptoms, sending them home. These are just common sense things to do to make sure that you protect your people, but still continue to function. The British had a saying in the midst of the Blitz in London in World War II: keep calm and carry on. And that's what we need to do. There are some specific actions that you can take that will help us to be able to accomplish our mission. The President has said that we are at war with an invisible enemy. Now, I can sort of relate to being part of an organization, having spent 35 years in the United States Army, that was preparing at all times to engage in a war. And as a soldier, you have certain attributes that you have personally and that that exist within that organization and that unit. And I would submit to you that all of the citizens of Iredell County, every one of you, are soldiers in the Iredell County Army. And as soldiers in that Army, that has certain implications. Firstly, we're not alone. You're all members of a team that are going to be focused on a mission of limiting the spread of this virus. And that mission is really defined as we come in contact with the enemy. No plan survives first contact with the enemy. It's constantly altered to deal with new situations. So you have to be flexible and you have to be adaptive, but you need to be disciplined, and you need to understand that an army functions on good order and discipline. That means you need to follow instructions. You need to follow orders. That's what makes an army function. And we have to have that mindset. And you're not walking out there as a soldier defenseless. You can defend yourself through social distancing. That's just simply keeping people 6 feet away or 2 arms lengths away from you. That protects you from someone who is a carrier, whether they're asymptomatic or symptomatic. It likewise protects them from you. We have to have the mindset that every person we come in contact with is a carrier of the virus and doesn't know it, and isn't displaying any symptoms. If you have that mindset, you are going to distance yourself much faster and more consistently. Likewise, we have to adopt the attitude that we are a carrier and that we need to protect others by being separated from them. And certainly, if anyone's coughing, you need to cough into your sleeve. And then you need to, if that's something other than just an isolated incident, then you may be displaying symptoms. And if you're symptomatic, you need to self-isolate. You need to stay home. You need to advise your employer that, and then contact your primary care physician and discuss what you think your symptoms are. You have a temperature and all this. And our public health director, Jane Henson, will review some of these symptoms and the things that you need to do if you have those. But in addition to being able to defend yourself, we also have the ability to go on the offense, to take it to the enemy. That's this virus. So how do you do that? Well, normally as a soldier, you carry a weapon with you, and you carry it in your hands. Well, our weapon is our hands, because that's where your virus typically is. It's transmitted from things that you touch, people that you shake hands with, which you shouldn't be doing. But if you touch other people and you shake or you touch surfaces, or somebody sneezes on you or something, typically it's on your hands. You can defeat that virus simply by washing your hands frequently. The reason that works, and you don't have to have some high-speed, high-cost process to defeat the enemy here, is that the coronavirus itself is encased in a sort of a greasy protective cover. And what soap does is it cuts through grease, and it breaks through that barrier, and then the virus that's inside is just blown apart. So simple, aggressive, thorough hand washing will do the trick. When you don't have availability of soap and water, then use a 60% or better alcohol-based hand cleaner, hand sanitizer, and aggressively, liberally apply that and rub it in. Make sure it's all between your fingers and under your fingernails, and you'll defeat that virus. So you have defense and you have offense as a soldier. So I'll see you on the objective, and we'll accomplish this mission together. Thank you.